This is an introduction video that walks you through the basics of Modellus version 4.01 software. This tutorial will show you how to write a model using equations, visualize one or more quantities on a graph and on table. We will consider the case of the linear motion of an object under constant acceleration. Now, I will write the mathematical model. I shall use the basic equations of motion without starting velocity for simplicity reasons. First, I need to import these into the model, so I am typing them into the mathematical model window over here. Velocity equals acceleration times time. Distance equals 1/2 times acceleration times square time. From the second law of Newton, acceleration is proportional to the resultant force that is acting on an object and inverse proportional to the mass of the object. I will now set my initial values. Let's set the force at 10 newtons and the mass at 1 kilogram. As you can see, the initial values have to be entered in the mathematical model window as well. Note that the menu ribbon is context sensitive. Graph, table, mathematical model. Now, try to pause the video, fire up Modellus, and enter your own data into the mathematical model window. You can try to enter equations that describe another kind of motion, or you can change my initial values and work with this example. Let's now run the model. In order to do so, all you have to do is to press the green button in the bottom corner, this one. We can see some motion in the graph window and in the table window as well. Let's first see the graph window. Let's add some variables in the graph. I already can see this line that represents v, velocity. Let's add distance. Alright, I can now see two lines in the graph window. Let's change the color of the distance in order to be able to distinguish those two. For example, red. Let's change the thickness. You can define the thickness from level 1 to level 5. Let's choose 3. By pressing auto scale, the graph is getting much better because you have a better scaling in the axis. And here is our graph. I managed to visualize the quantity of velocity and the quantity of distance. Here is the distance time graph, and here is the velocity time graph. Let's now see the table window. Just like before, we can go to the table menu either by pressing in the table or by pressing in the table tab over here. And here we can see the table menu. Right now, in the table, I have the variable of time and the variable of velocity. I will add the distance. I can see a third column added in my table. I can see several values for time, velocity, and distance. For each time step, I have one value for velocity and one value for distance. If you want to have a better picture of the magnitude of the values, you can add data bars. You can pick a color for each variable, and you have this result. From the independent variable menu, you can define the independent variable that you want, you can define the steps, and you can also define the minimum and the maximum value of the independent variable. Finally, you can use this window to keep some notes while you're making your project. If you haven't created your project already, try to do it now. Import your equations in the mathematical model window, run the model, and see what your graph is going to look like. If you have already created a project, try to explore the potentials of Modellus by exploring the table menu and the graph menu.